Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 6:01. We're going to start with roll call. Stuart Lander,
Here.
Brad Shear,
Here.
Paula Whitford, Michelle Brousseau,
Yeah.
Kate Massinani,
Here.
James Justivo,
Here.
and I, Carol Vetter, am here. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Next, I would like to ask for a moment of silence in memory of Kathleen Takata. Thank you. And may our thoughts and compassion be with her and her family during this time. Next, we would like to continue with student recognitions, and I'm going to turn that over to the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. Members of the committee, if you would please join us at the front of the tables for this evening's student recognitions. So welcome in the season of Thanksgiving. It is wonderful to kick off this meeting with lots to be thankful for, which are some amazing, dedicated, and driven students that we are here to recognize tonight. What I will do is I'll call up by school the recognitions. I'll ask that you come on up. I'll read a little blurb about you and your accomplishments. We'll then go and you'll get your certificate, and you'll have to run the handshake bump gauntlet of school committee. Then we'll take a moment for photo, if families want to get photos, and then we'll proceed to the next. Then we'll proceed to the next one, and then maybe we'll do one big group photo in the spirit of Thanksgiving. So with that, we will start with Matunic Elementary and this month's recognition from Principal McGuire, Eleanor Moore. So if you want to face everybody, so Principal McGuire, right? At Matunic Elementary, Eleanor took the lead in organizing a school-wide food drive to benefit the Johnny Cake Center. She created a flyer that was displayed throughout the school and shared with families, wrote morning announcements to spread the word, and coordinated the arrangements for delivering donations to the center. As a result of her idea, other students then participated in spreading the message, and we created a graph to track the number of food items collected. Through her creativity, organization, and commitment, Eleanor brought our school community together in support of local families in need, and her efforts are truly exemplify student leadership and kindness in action. Congratulations, Ellen. Next, we will go to Peacedale Elementary and Principal Rapports. Lila Bender. London Johnson. Sydney Seifert. And Lila Caswell. These four students standing before you voluntarily give up their recess time once to twice every single week to provide support in the pre-K music classes. They help the students participate and set a positive example for their youngest learners and everyone in the school. They are leaders for how to treat others, support a local school community, and exemplify positive behavior at all times. So again, on behalf of Principal Rapport, I congratulate Lila, London, Sydney, and Lila. Here, we'll do a group photo here so that folks. Well, all right. Okay, so let's just do one group photo real quick. Peace down. Thank you so much. Next, from West Kingston and from Dr. Borden's recognition is Levon Hearn here. Levon. Okay, Levon from Dr. Borden. We are proud to recognize Levon for his exceptional academic growth and the positive impact he has made since joining the West Kingston school community. As a new student, Levon approaches each day with determination, curiosity, and a desire to learn. Through hard work and perseverance, he has shown tremendous progress in all academic areas and quickly became a valued member of his class. Levon's dedication and resilience are an inspiration to his peers and a testament to what can be achieved through effort and a growth mindset. We are proud to have him at West Kingston Elementary. Next, from Broad Rock Elementary and Principal McNeese, if I would have Nava Shear, Remington Jackson, Emma Moriarty, Rose Padilla Ganji, and Gavin Nayland. From Principal McNeese. On November 3rd, Broad Rock Middle School officially launched our school's composting and recycling program in our cafeteria. A huge thank you to the Rhode Island School Recycling Project, our new Green Team Student Club, led by Miss Weeks, and our SMILE students for leading this effort. With everyone's help in sorting the cafeteria, on our very first day, only 19% of our waste went to the landfill, down from 100%, with nearly 50% going to compost, and an incredible start towards a greener future. Thank you to these outstanding student leaders from our Green Team Club, Grade 8, Nava Shear and Remington Jackson, Grade 7, Emma Moriarty, and Grade 6, Rose Padilla Ganji and Gavin Nayland. And Oh, do you want to, oh, I'm sorry, Broad Rock, you want to come back up and let's do the photo op? Get those steps in. Congratulations. Next, we have two groups from the high school and Dr. McGare, excuse me, McNair. We'll do one group at a time, and we will start with George Gardner and Owen Kosterides. Excuse me. Please come forward. You have something to even better. George and Owen.
George and Owen, come on up here. Tonight, the science department is recognizing George and Owen for the amazing contributions they've made over the last 3 years to the department. A little background first. These two have been dedicated volunteers for the Garden Club. A little background. The garden and the greenhouses were built in 2010 separately by a social studies teacher. Some of you may remember John O'Malley. Since his retirement, they've been utilized by students in Mrs. Galoub's environmental bio and sustainable ag classes. Hundreds of students have had the opportunity to plant a seed in the ground on the SKHS campus, watch it grow, harvest the plant to whip up something fresh to eat in class, salsa, tabbouleh salad, rhubarb, scones, pumpkin pie, tomato bruschetta. Those of you who are getting hungry now, I know. All with the ingredients grown on this premise. On these premises. These farm to fork experiences help students develop cooking skills with fresh local ingredients and gain an appreciation for the agricultural system which we depend on. The SKHS classes that use the greenhouse and gardens inspire students to appreciate plants for what they contribute to human health and well-being. However, the maintenance of the gardens can't be accomplished in just the class periods with the school day. And it's very important for the garden club. This group of students volunteers their time outside of school hours to help Mrs. Galoub keep the garden going. In the last 12 months, they are the crew who moved the entire wooden garden beds from the spot right here where the new building is happening down to the corner of Columbia Street. Some of you may notice when you drive by. They took apart and reinstalled the irrigation system, put down the weed block between rows, and helped keep the weeds at bay. Today, we honor two Garden Club members who have been integral to all this work for the last 3 years, George Gardner and Owen Kosterides. They have been willing volunteers hours by getting their hands dirty and doing all the tasks Mrs. Galoub has asked them to do. Because of them, the SKHS garden is alive and an integral part of classes in the science department. And we thank you, George and Owen.
And now also from the high school, I would welcome up at this time Miles Light, Genevieve Hingham, and Sean Toma. In April, South Kingstown High School had 44 Italian students participate in the National Italian Exam Contest, and 12 placed at the state level and national level. Thousands of students from all over the country and Canada took this exam, and over 400 students in the state of Rhode Island participated. Gold medalist Miles Light, Italian 3, awarded national gold medal and first in Rhode Island. Silver medalist Genevieve Hingham, Italian 3, awarded national silver medal and a third in Rhode Island. And bronze medalist Sean Toma, Italian 3, awarded national bronze medal and fourth in Rhode Island. Congratulations. So now, in the spirit of our new mission statement, in partnership with the community, our students will thrive. I would ask all of our students to come on up for one group photo for all of our recognitions tonight. One last photo. Thank you all again. Congratulations. And while you are welcome to stay and see local democracy in action, it is also okay for you to begin your Thanksgiving break and head home. Congratulations and thank you all. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so we're going to continue with comments from the community. Would anybody like to come up and say a few words? Anybody? Okay, we're going to move on. With that, we're going to close community comment. Before we start the consent agenda, I am going to turn it over to the superintendent.
So I would just like to make note, although it is in terms of, these are public documents in the consent agenda. Because he is here tonight and because I said I would make this exceedingly brief, I do want to call the committee's attention to the personnel item on the consent agenda and welcome and thank Mr. Lynch, whose retirement is on that consent agenda. Exactly what he is a pillar of the community. He bleeds rebel blue and he will be impossible to replace. And I wanted to just put that out there, and I promised that it would be short and sweet. But I did want to acknowledge publicly to the community, and as well as it is a public document as we enter into the consent agenda. Thank you.
There's not many of us, but I think that deserves a standing ovation.
Three minutes, Terry. You have 3 minutes. You can speak.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch, Terry Lynch, for all your years of service. You're a big hole and shoes to fill. With that, do I have a motion to accept the consent, to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I'll-
Thank you, Mr. Lynch.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. And again, I'll turn it back over to the superintendent for his report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll wait seconds up. I have two items. One is the NESDEC enrollment report that just came in, and it is linked on this presentation. The next is the personnel report. We did have a little bit of a change in that how this item needed to be addressed, and so the committee will note that after feedback from council, it was recommended that because it's not something ultimately that you are voting on to approve, that the personnel action be moved from the consent agenda and into the superintendent's report. And that's why you now see it in this report, where we haven't seen it for the last couple meetings, where it had been solely in the consent agenda. Next slide, please. So the NESDEC enrollment report, I am very pleased to report that although we continue to see a decline, that decline in anticipated enrollment has slowed down and is flattening a bit. I believe that, so you all have access and the community will have access to that full report. On the next slide, it will be linked. I would just highlight that for me, a snapshot of page 4 provides the most far-reaching data point in which to compare and watch those trends. And that's what we see up on the screen here. It allows you to not only follow a cohort or a grade level as they progress potentially through the years, but it also lets you see students who are already in the system, as well as in the bottom left corner, look at potential grade configurations and see either the stability or instability that tends to occur. And then in the bottom right hand corner are the projected changes in terms of an aggregate number, in terms of those year over year anticipated changes. Next slide, please. However, the NESDEC report has some serious drawbacks. So while it relies on birth models and they do take in a variety of data points, it is certainly not infallible, as this and set in stone, as I've highlighted multiple times already this academic year, where last year's NESDEC report had this school year had us projected at 2,144, when in reality we are in 2,186, a difference of 42 students. The issue becomes is that as we enter budget season, or as we reflect on previous budget seasons, And the committee will remember that we actually needed to take personnel action this summer when we added in another grade 2 section. When these reports are wrong or incorrect, or when we don't meet the expectation and we are cutting staff based off of NESDEC numbers, we put ourselves in quite a predicament. And so what I would like to highlight in terms of the most recent NESDEC report is how different it is just in the next 5 years in less than 1 year. Again, this is through this, these numbers you will not see on the previous slide, or I'm sorry, you will see in the previous slide, but it is listed as pre-K through 12. It's the last column on the right-hand side. Essentially, this school year, we have 42 more students throughout pre-K through 12 than predicted. Next year's prediction has us 60 more students than this time last year. Moving forward, then 82, 90, and 105. Those are huge differences. And when you have those amount of discrepancy of numbers, especially when we start getting into the, 40s, 50s, 60s, and above, then yeah, there might be places where we are going to be able to look for some consolidation. So to have those numbers be that off is just something that I'd like to highlight in terms of, as we did make budget decisions last year based off, and we'll always make decisions based off of what is best for our students and those who educate them, as well as the most relevant data. We need to make sure that, especially as we are now seeing in the real data in terms of students who are already here and in the district, we see a stabilization at the elementary level, where that elementary cohort that dipped is now entering our secondary schools, but will be coming back, as well as we do not know the impact of 2 years from now when we do open a new building and we continue to make progress on our strategic plan, what our enrollment numbers will be. Because once we make those cuts and put them ingrained into a budget, they're very, very difficult to get back. And so with that, I would ask for the next slide, and I'll take any questions about the NESDEC report.
Yeah, just the numbers we're looking at, are these students in our buildings? This is not
This is
charter or,
correct.
so
These are-
there's variability of
I-
charter school expanded or CTE program got more,
These
that,
are,
that could have an effect just like
these,
population.
yes, these are anticipated in our seats in our schools. This is not an accounting of all of the students we are responsible for. Any other questions?
You said this is not counting all of the students we're responsible for, so it
Correct.
does not include CTE income.
It does not include incoming CTE. It does not include privately enrolled students that are at private schools that we must give services to. It is not reflective of students that we have outplaced. It is not does not represent students in charter schools or in state schools that are part of school choice.
For clarifying that, it does have a rather large.
Absolutely.
I don't have a question. I just have a position on it. Shocking, I know. I just, it's good information to have, but it's never good information to make accurate decisions year to year to year. It's good to know the trajectory, and it has been correct. The trajectory line has steadily gone down like this. We had a few years where South Kingstown in particular, there was a lot of uncertainty and it was a significant dip, right? And we're starting to see that stabilize. We have stabilized leadership. We have a lot of different respect in the community than we had in the past, but also on a grand scale, the pendulum is shifting so fast, and people's perspectives, especially around politics and finances and Department of Ed and what's good and what's bad, it's like whiplash every time you listen, depending on who you're talking to and who you're not talking to, and what this 4 years is going to bring versus next 4 years. So again, it's a good kind of guardrail, but we always have to reflect back to our reality, not what the perception is. There are a few voices in our community who use NESDEC as the gospel, but I appreciate that we're not doing that. And again, good to know information. Keep an eye on it, but also our reality dictates something different. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that if we're going to take it, the data and the report just on an as is are, again, that decline has slowed. Where there was decline the most, it has now stabilized. And so I don't foresee, when I take a look at the elementary sections and the class sizes, I don't see any that are going to graduate where we're going to be able to have that natural attrition where class size is changing. So we're going to be able to collapse a section or collapse a classroom and have it there. So based on the information that we have to date, as well as the danger of going solely off this is one that I think speaks on to our financial situation, will speak and hopefully weigh heavily in our favor and the momentum that we're trying to build for FY 2027.
So, given what you know and what the projections are, how do these numbers project out for our budgeting for this coming year in terms of our staffing?
Again, we just got them. And again, I haven't done a full analysis of in terms of where contractual sizes might change. But I would say that generally in a pre-K through 12 system, a drop of 20 students is going to be, again, we're talking across 13 potential grade levels. It's going to occur potentially in any one of those that would not allow definitive or substantial movement for budgeting, which is a good problem to have.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next slide, please. So again, here's the personnel report. On it, you will see some leaves of absences that are ongoing, some that have concluded, as well as I'm pleased to report that we have found I have been able to appoint a long unfilled maintenance position. So that's wonderful to have, and we welcome everyone, or excuse me, we welcome him to the South Kingstown community. Next slide. And I am pleased to welcome, as we wind down, or now officially, a fall season is now official. No, tomorrow night. Oh, okay, tomorrow night. Well, and yeah, okay, in our Thanksgiving game. So the day before the last fall athletic contest, it's my pleasure to welcome, recognize, and thank this next season's winter coaches, as recommended by Athletic Director Lynch. Next slide, please. And if there are no questions about the personnel report, that concludes my presentation this evening.
Do I have a motion to accept the superintendent report?
Make a motion to accept the superintendent's report.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. That will bring us to school committee business A, discussion action, release of 300 Columbia Street. And back to Mr. Perdoza.
So as you see in my memorandum to you, it is my recommendation that we turn over the district's interest in 300 Columbia Street so that it can be repurposed and for lack of a better term, redonated by the fire district over to the town so that the town can upgrade that facility and make use of it for the town's usage. Again, I would say in doing so, not only do we not need that property because of the work and improvements that have been done at Asa Pond and that we have adequate facilities there, it will also then allow what work is being done at the Asa Pond in the school department to the town to have another section so that we would gain the necessary spaces as necessary. And again, I see that as a perfect embodiment again in partnership with the community and working with the town. So it is my recommendation that we turn that property over so that it can be redeeded to the town.
I do think Brian Mahoney should have been here to do this. But
Yeah, so there's, okay, the question up here was where is 300 Columbia Street? It's a outbuilding that's right across the street from the Guild. If it's kind of like right in front of the Riverbend, old Riverbend athletic place that is no longer Riverbend, of course, but is yeah, kind of opens up to the street. It's like a wooden building. It's sort of nondescript and out of the way, but it is a storage facility, and apparently we have control of it and wish to not anymore. So that I'll make a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation to release 300 Columbia Street.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. So that will bring us to B, discussion action field trip. South Kingstown High School girls hockey team.
What's that? No, it's okay. It's good. We're all good. Do you have any specific questions? This is a field trip that we did last year. So it's basically a repeat of where the girls went last year. And as you may know, we're a co-op with North Kingstown, South Kingstown, Narragansett, Prout, and Charahoe. So they're going to go out to Martha's Vineyard. They're going to stay. They've got chaperones. They've raised the money to through their booster club to be able to stay out there and play a weekend tournament.
So I just want to say, I was watching a newscast about women who are between ages like 50 and 75 who are still playing hockey.
We're not playing them.
Well, I thought that might be a good win, but it warms the heart to see,
Yes.
you know, that sort of thing where look at this group of young ladies who are, you know, playing not the easiest sport.
No, and Mr. Pedraza can speak to this because he's been around hockey for a long time. The state of high school hockey in Rhode Island is slowly dwindling. We right now in the state of Rhode Island, in the Rhode Island Interscholastic League, there are only 6 teams, if you will, but we've got 5 in a co-op. Another group has 5. So we're trying to save high school hockey, and it's becoming somewhat discouraging because the numbers are dwindling. But stuff like this, our girls do a good job, and you know, they are one of the top 3 teams in the state of Rhode Island within the Interscholastic. And I know they're only 6, but they're very competitive at what they do.
You have something to do in retirement.
Yes. Yes. Coach hockey. You've been there. Yeah.
I second that.
You'd rather keep working. That's one. Hockey coach. That's
Right. I've done that.
Ooh.
Make a motion to approve the field trip for the girls hockey team.
Second.
Appreciate that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Terry. That will bring us to C, discussion action fundraiser, South Kingstown High School graduation yard signs.
So based on the approval form, I felt comfortable enough speaking to this. I believe it's something that while it has occurred in the past, obviously it's with every year it's going to be with a different class. And so in your packet, you have the full fundraiser approval form. And I'm happy to answer any questions the best that I can about these customizable congratulations signs.
Thank you. I do remember them doing this in previous years. So do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the fundraiser South Kingston High School graduation yard signs.
And
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And that brings us to D, discussion, facilities update, school year 25-26. The other Mr. Lynch.
First and foremost, I apologize. I haven't gotten to meet you all. I've met some of you, but my name is Liam Lynch. I've been your facilities director for the past 3 months. A heartfelt thank you to Michael Pedraza for making me feel welcome. Also, someone who's helped me out, my Uncle Terry. Not really my uncle, but so first and foremost, my methodology as a director, I've been doing this for a while, is focused on student comfort, safety, security, taking care of the day-to-day operation. Obviously, we're in heating season, when we're in cooling season, and then just trying to advance CapEx improvements, whether they be new or longstanding. I put together a report that outlines the hitters that we've had over the past 3 months. We've gotten a few CapEx projects over the hump. And it was stuff that needed to be done, stuff that had been budgeted for, items, repairs, replacements, major CapEx improvements that we've been able to advance. And in turn, we're pleased to announce that we are on target to hit our 3% maintenance. Everything needs to be 3% directed towards the full budget allocated to maintenance. I don't know if anyone has any specific questions. I didn't want to take up too much of the committee's time, but I'm certainly prepared and happy to discuss any particular items or if anyone has any questions. All good? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's a very, very good report.
One quick question. I know you mentioned the Broad Rock roof here. Was the section of roof that we approved done? There was one section that had an urgent need, but
The section of roof that was approved still needs to be done.
Okay, that's,
But we have worked closely with
okay.
the vendor, who was not only the liaison for the RFP, but also the vendor that was chosen through the open bid process. And my goal is to have those cranes safely on site, lifting roof material onto that roof when kids are throwing papers in the air and we're celebrating the last day of school.
Okay.
That's what I'm dedicated to. The first, just to kind of expand on that, the first part that we needed to get over the hump was the installation of the 4 rooftop heating units highlighted in the report that were already budgeted for and approved. Needed to do that, so just order of operations, but we're not taking our foot off the gas. We want these in terms of like the Peacedale generator, the subsequent work with the fencing that happened with that, getting that over the hump, the West Kingston, the parking lot installation of new basketball hoops over there. So it's been a busy 3 months. I appreciate the opportunity to be your director of facilities, and I'm dedicated to getting these things over the hump, improving, assisting with budget, and I'm always asking people to sharpen their pencil. Everyone takes a haircut when you deal with me if you're a vendor. Thank you. Yes,
Nice to meet you.
absolutely.
I appreciate your last 6 words on the gym floor proposal, where you say which we will challenge if needed. I was just wondering what happened that they applied some things to.
Again, this was kind of a shotgun start. This was based on a conversation with Terry. This is how this came into light, at least for me. was that they canceled a girls volleyball game due to the condition of the floor being too slippery. Obviously, that's a snowball effect. We don't want that kind of, negative perception. We want to be able to hold winter sports in the gymnasium without disruption. We've been working closely with the vendors, and they've agreed to revisit that, recode it without any cost. The caveat being, we believe, based on my visit to the school, dealing with Terry and dealing with athletic director Lynch and the principal, that Peacedale might be up for the same type of treatment. But we're going to need to work closely with them. But the goal was to limit disruption. We put that on an XY axis with cost in terms of working behind the scenes with the vendor. That's kind of how the whole thing fits together. But we didn't want any disruption just due to the offset of overhead to try and move basketball, volleyball games. So that was basically the methodology behind that decision.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's some kind of film that came up that we can't figure out what it was, and we had. And we had to cancel a volleyball game. We had to end up moving it, not cancel it. We ended up moving it over to the rec center, which was, that's nice that we have a facility like that, but it became a little bit of a danger. And then we saw it in our phys ed classes. So we don't know what the film is. The floor looks beautiful now, so hopefully it'll stay and take. So, all right.
Yeah, it was just refinished last weekend, so if anyone has time to take a spin by there, it's pretty impressive. It looks nice, but the cost needs to match that aesthetic result, and that's my job to make sure that does that with a limited cost to the school department. And that's how we handle every project.
So I appreciate the format that you laid this out, and it's so far very easy to digest. Gives a good, I like the little, you have a little story that goes with everything. So, but it's helpful to know. And I believe it's helpful for the public to see. The only thing on that I might suggest is maybe a cost be shared with it, just for transparency purposes.
Certainly, and I do. And again, I talk daily and meet almost daily with Patricia Proctor, the new, chief financial officer. So in terms of CapEx and moving, dollars around to cover costs that come up, and so we work pretty closely together in conjunction to just make sure that everything we're doing is a sound financial decision for the district. And again, I'll just close with the methodology. The goal in tiers is student safety, security, health, day-to-day operations, and CapEx. It's pretty straightforward, but it's all at the behest of the decisions that get made. And now that you put me in a position to make those decisions, we're going to make the best decisions possible.
I think it's great. And one of the things that I think is good, when you present to us with the numbers next to them, it's a trial run, because we are going to go in front of the town, and you're going to get to be able to own that, right? And so being able to be confident in presenting your numbers.
Sure.
And what we like to do sometimes is play devil's advocate, and so that you are prepared when we go in front of the town. You never know what they're going to throw at you.
Sure.
And so we just want to make sure that, and I know that your plans and what you put down is defensible, but again, so that when you go in front of the town and they start asking certain questions, you have the
Absolutely.
answers
The goal
like
is to
that,
be
yeah.
upfront, transparent, and honest.
Yep.
And I believe wholeheartedly in the product that I put
Yep.
out there. So fully capable of answering any questions.
Perfect.
Yeah, and we'll crosswalk it over because actually in December 18th, we'll have that meeting, but then this meeting afterwards will once again be about capital improvement. And so we'll crosswalk any of these items in this report that are related to capital improvement. We'll crosswalk it over to that as well.
And again, all of you have my contact information. If there's ever a question, if anyone does want to do a dry run, the communication is open on my end. So.
Pleasure to meet you. Thanks for
Likewise.
being here tonight. I agree with Kate. I think having the numbers on the document is going to be helpful for us and for the public.
Sure.
I did have a question about something that's not in here. Maybe I missed the update somewhere along the line. There was a plan to resurface the West Kingston parking lot. Is that
So
has that been
was-
done?
So and Michael can hop in at any time just because this predates me. I will give you what I know about it. It was a holdover in terms of CapEx improvements prior to my arrival. But it was on a prioritized list, provided by Michael, his team, previous facilities manager, my team that now exists, and the new CFO. I did work, closely with Tony Ferrucci on his way kind of out the door. That was one of the things that we needed to document and get in. And I believe that ties into the 3% of the CapEx.
Yep, that will help us get over that. That will help us get over that 3%. So because that project, which is completed, including the adjustable basketball hoops, Mr. Beasley, if you're watching, those have been completed. And so while we are on track for 3%, our statutory obligation of maintenance of effort of 3% of our budget from this fiscal year, the completion of those basketball courts were not substantially complete by the end of fiscal year 26. We then had housing aid withheld, as Mr. Ferrucci said on his way out. Once we get over that, or once those projects are done, we will not need to wait to file till the end. So it wouldn't be in this, it wasn't in this report because it's now pushed to, but that will put us over that 3%. And we anticipate, because it's also substantially complete, that we will be filing with the state so that the town can get their local housing aid back without penalty.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
we
that.
meet, and I meet weekly with the CFO to go over that list, the pecking order and crossing off projects. But what I'm seeing is that we're crossing more and more off, and the proper prior planning is going to get the stuff that's already been on the docket before my arrival over the hump in a timely and efficient manner with limited disruption to day-to-day operations within the school. That's why I would love to have the roof being done right now, but that's
right. And that's where the roof is in a similar situation, hence the need to go and start immediately when school ends, but also for the community though. And some decisions that will need to be made is that we have, for the past 2 years, had at least held ESY at Broad Rock, and that will not be able to happen. And so we're going to need to shift and plan for that. However, we want to choose not only the right school in terms of facilities, but as well as using resources that we have, such as air conditioning, portable units, and the discharge of those. And do they fit into the windows and things of various schools? And can we accommodate all students and try and have one central location rather than spread out ESY programming? So we are on track, but we will be up against a tight timeline that, again, I thank Mr. Lynch for pushing so that we get to have substantial completion at the end of FY 26 to put us over the edge, and we're not back into that same, well, it's not substantially complete, so they're going to withhold funding aid again, or it looks like we're not doing our due diligence on the 3%.
Yeah, really, coming through the door was get the stuff that pre-existed, get this fiscal year done, and then sound planning for whatever's been dictated for 2027.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we also have a contingency plan in case we do run into similar delays. If these projects that would have normally pushed us over the 3% don't get completed as substantially completed in FY 26, do we have like other projects that we could shift to meet that number?
100%. So
Okay,
that is a big talking point in the meeting that we have. Is it's not a piggy bank. There's certain bureaucratic red tape you have to go through, but that is a major talking point where if we need something that needs to be done, moving those dollar amounts around, I can speak on the facilities and the operations and maintenance portion of that, working in conjunction with the new CFO, and Mrs. Proctor deals with the state on that level, whoever needs to be allocating those funds or dictating how those funds are delineated. As far as the project work, that's a major talking point where we don't want to have projects that aren't put over the hump, but there's still money there. If we can move that money around to improve and it counts towards that 3% is the only.
And we've targeted those reimbursable projects. We also need to make sure, though, that throughout the course that because we have, yes, some of our maintenance and some of our is in the operating budget, those big projects, because we're trying to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars and get those refunded to us. It's that balancing act. So who knows what's going to pop up during the course of the school year? Hopefully nothing, but something might happen that we need to replace, repair, that will go towards that 3%. It just won't count towards reimbursement. But, you know, as such, we're targeting those projects primarily that will be reimbursed.
Just to be clear, reimbursed to the town.
Reimbursed to the town through the general fund through housing aid. Yes. Anybody?
Guys, thank you everyone for the consideration and I hope everyone has a safe and happy holiday, okay?
Thank
All
you.
right,
You
thank
too.
Thank you.
Mr. Lynch, I do have a comment if you don't mind. Under the top of page 3, you have something about the drinking water quality at Matunic Elementary School. And as I recall, it was only Miss Massananti and I that were sitting at this table when we had that problem at Matunic Element. You don't remember, so it was only me? Okay. I was the only one currently sitting here that was also sitting here. There was a problem with the drinking water. And Miss McGuire was there, so she probably remembers what it was. I don't remember if it was lead or whatever.
So yeah, I can speak on that. It was a complaint, not a complaint, but a concern raised. There's posted do not drink and they're around the basin sinks.
Yeah.
Where you step on it and there's water coming out. I don't know where the complaint or again, the concern originated or who put that sign there. All I can say is once I was made aware of it, the school department immediately jumped on it and ordered testing kits to have that water tested. So we had a basis to start off with. I sent Mrs. McGuire the last test that we had. Unfortunately, that wasn't recent enough in terms of me having the confidence to sign off on, as well as just being able to illustrate that we can start fresh, knowing that if the test comes back clean, those signs can be removed and the potable water is suitable for consumption.
So my point was just that I wondered if they came from that long ago time when we did have trouble with the drinking water. But knowing elementary school kids as I do, I can envision them bending over the basins trying to drink the water.
I was
think
gonna
that
follow up with
behavior
that,
would be arrested right away, hopefully.
but
if
I
they were
think that's the
drinking
question I
out
was
of the
gonna
basins.
have is there's clearly no
Regardless
problem with the
perception of
water.
Reality,
Yeah,
so if there's a sign printed on bright orange paper saying do not drink,
Yeah,
I want to know why. And if we can take it down, I would still not encourage, but maybe the language could be different, like maybe not a good idea to drink out of this, but it sends off alarm bells. So I can understand the concern. And once it was brought to the school department's attention, we jumped right in and we need to verify the results and then correct any deficiencies. If there are no deficiencies, hopefully, then we can just remove the signs and maybe redirect or re-educate on posted signs.
jumping over the edge of the basin to drink the water.
You could fit like 4 kids.
I can picture my son having
Yeah.
done that. Probably.
Yeah, it looked like Animal Farm, like it's.
So let us know how it goes though, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
And I do agree with my colleagues here that it would be better if we had some numbers on here just to make the town council happy.
Yep, 100%. That's not a problem. This is my first shot at it. So we'll I welcome all the feedback that the committee has to give, and we'll incorporate that in future reports or rundowns and updates that we give you guys.
Very nice to meet you and thank
It
you
was
for the report.
Pleasure to meet you guys. And again, everyone have a good holiday, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you, you too.
All right, brings us to discussions, school year 2026-27 annual school calendar. Mr. Pedraza?
Thank you. So I wanted to bring to the committee and the community's attention first, let me say the RIDE recommended calendar or the RIDE supported calendar has not been promulgated yet. It has not even been sent out. However, when we want to do the analysis or we start getting into, it's November, it's time to start thinking about next school year. When we did take a look at next school year, there are a variety of factors that will not allow for the replication of this school year's calendar without concessions somewhere. So last year, we did a survey about the importance, went out to the community, went out to teachers. The bargaining units also conduct their own internal surveys about the calendar. There are contractual languages that need to be considered. But the number one piece here is that in Rhode Island general law, I need to be able to propose, or I need to propose a calendar that has at the very least 4 days at the official close of school. And if you'll notice that on this calendar, the last day of school would be the 24th. That is the last feasible day that we could hold school or propose a calendar and still have those statutory 4 days. And so you see it there as the 25th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. So this is a template of a calendar that has us starting after Labor Day. And because of the elections, we must be closed for the primary day, which is the day after Labor Day, as well as November the 3rd. So we have 2 election days that by Rhode Island law, school students cannot be in school buildings. So starting after Labor Day, as well as keeping in certain aspects of what has been in place. Here you have basically before you is a best guess calendar of starting after Labor Day, as well as then trying to, or not trying, but keeping what would be tomorrow and having the extended Thanksgiving or having the Wednesday before Thanksgiving for the community, as well as all who operate in it the day before Thanksgiving, and having those 3 days. I would also note that the way that New Year's fall or Christmas and New Year's falls again does have an extended 10-day, or excuse me, extended break. Once again, this is not the RIDE promulgated. This is just, we put February and April break. This is the RIDE calendar might have something different, but this is what we'll put in. I have met with the teachers union presidents. We have preliminarily discussed this, as well as agreed to craft a draft calendar that would have us potentially end before the observance of Juneteenth. So Juneteenth, which is the 19th, falls on a Saturday, which means that it needs to be then observed on the Friday. Again, this school year, again, when we did the survey, starting after, people wanted to start after Labor Day. People wanted the day before Thanksgiving. They wanted the 2 vacations, and they wanted to get out before Juneteenth. It is not possible next year. It's just not. So one of those will have to give. One thing that we will, or is also continued, but is in little tiny itty bitty font and was new this year, and so I'll highlight it, is also that staggered start or only the transition grades of kindergarten 6 and 9 starting the first day of school is something that we had good feedback on and would look to continue. So again, something to bring forward to the committee's attention. I will bring forward another draft calendar that contemplates starting before Labor Day and ending after Juneteenth for consideration at another date. But at this time, it will not be possible to start after September and end before Juneteenth.
So you spoke to the union leadership and are they surveying their members?
They will. So I told them I would get them a draft where we could, because where we would have the potential to play around, like in terms of where the new teacher orientation falls, as well as the professional development day. So while schools cannot be operational, or students cannot be in buildings because of Rhode Island law, that doesn't mean that you can't hold professional development. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Good luck tomorrow. We can talk about, do we use those election days or other days to hold that professional development in order to get those back? So just off the top of my head, if we moved the new teacher orientation to the 28th, did an orientation district-wide on August 31st, and then did the transition day of K-6-9 on that Tuesday, and then welcomed the entire school or pre-K through 12 back to the district on September the 2nd, those would be the 4 days. But that's at the cost of starting before Labor Day, which again, I know historically, traditionally, as well as in terms of economically for some, is a factor. However, again, we do have some contractual language, and I do want to give the committee and community some options. And so I will be providing that at another time.
I think did we survey the public too?
Yes.
So I think we should really be, I don't remember if we did this, but we should be asking people to rank those choices rather than just say yes or no. Of course, I want everything.
Right.
But the question is, which are the most important to be forward?
So I'd be happy. We did do that on each one and ask them where in terms of the priority that this falls for you. I will redo it, as it wasn't the most cohesive, and you had to, I think, they find the slide bar. And so
Right.
I would improve upon this. I'd use the same questions, but would do so in a different manner. And so I'm happy to put that back out there to the community once again. But again, I did promise that I would draft another schedule or calendar and give options to, but I'm happy to do that once again.
If you do that survey again, I think you need to add a question like which one of these would you be willing to lose? And then that way you can get a sense of like, okay, what's the tolerance for starting before Labor Day? What's the tolerance for ending after Juneteenth, et cetera?
Absolutely.
I'm glad we're starting the conversation early so that we have time to be very thoughtful. It is a more difficult year than this year's calendar was. So I am glad that we're starting to talk about it.
Thank you.
Right.
Um,
Any other questions, Michelle?
Yes, I would just comment that I do like the transition day. So if we can keep that, I would support that. I would also suggest that maybe you talk to if you're thinking of starting before Labor Day, maybe you talk to the Chamber of Commerce or something like that. And then my last comment, and you're aware of this, I know you're aware of this, I'm more making it community-wide. If the calendar stays as it exists right now, and we have a lot of snow this winter, and we use up those 4 days, that's the last day we can legally attend school in the state of Rhode Island, June 30th.
That is correct. The school year must end on the last day of June. You cannot go into July.
Yes, I'm well aware of
Oh,
that.
no, I'm saying in terms of the general law.
Yes, and I think the last time I recall that happening was the blizzard of 78, where we were in school until June 30th. Yes. Okay, thank you, Mr. Petrosas.
Thank you.
That actually brought up a question I had. What do we get penalized but from RIDE if we don't complete the 180 days before June 30th? Like, what's the consequence? I mean, other than the fact that obviously we want our children to be learning through the 180 days, but what other consequences would there be if that were to happen? Not that we want that to happen.
I think it's something of that magnitude. My guess would be, well, we have to submit our school calendar to RIDE for for approval. And so once they put they're scanning it to make sure that we're meeting our so we also have to send them schedules. And that we're meeting our minute requirement as well as then the total number of days. I think at that point, if it were to happen, my guess would be is that it would be a pretty substantial event in which we might have some state closings. So in the past, when the state closed down, they have in some cases removed those days from the calendar. My concern is actually more of an academic one, starting after Labor Day, as well as if we were to start after Labor Day, really the first week of school after Labor Day is, especially if we have that transition day, that we don't get K through 12 students, we won't get them until the 10th. And so we would be close to 2 weeks. The state testing calendar is set. And so that's 2 weeks of instruction that come April, when we're doing that we are 2 weeks, that we're not behind, but it's in terms of consideration that we'd be going in to state testing with 2 less weeks than previous years on that state calendar. It's something that people consider in terms of when they take a look at usually the ACT, because that's big and generally or traditionally been the southern states, because the southern states also go back to school in August. And so when they did their in-school date, or when they published their dates, it was something that was kind of like, whoa, why are they putting them there? And we had needed to take a look at it from even when we take a look at college admission dates, it's just something to consider. We have fantastic educators. I'm not saying that we would, our test scores would plummet. It would just be one of those things that in terms of a consideration, the state is going to put state testing wherever they want to put it. And those that start earlier would be getting more instruction in before those dates.
The only thing that I would suggest in this is, I think one of the biggest disservices we can do to education is doing things just because that's the way we've always done them. And things have changed over the years throughout the country with start dates. We see it in our community in general. By the 3rd week of August, it's quiet, right? And so by the last week of August, most of our tourists that have come in have left because they're starting school before us. Ideally, yes, our community has and our neighboring communities have started after Labor Day, but that doesn't mean we have to keep that. It would be nice to have it all, like you said, but when it's a scenario like this and it's not likely, and if we're being honest, the quality of, and this is not a dig at our teachers or teaching and learning, but the quality of teaching on June 28th, 29th, and 30th is significantly different than the quality of teaching on September 9th, 10th, and 11th. So just kind of taking all the factors, but I think all I'm trying to say is I think as a deciding body, but as administrators, educational leaders, and as our teacher, membership, we want to have an open mind, and maybe this year needs to be a little bit different because of what we're looking at, and just to be open-minded about it.
To your point, this year we started after Labor Day, but it was like September 3rd we can start September 3rd. Unfortunately, it's before Labor Day, but it's the same date. So, I totally agree with you. It doesn't, we can start, that on December, whatever, September 2nd, 3rd, it's just where Labor Day falls is hard to deal with. But maybe now is the perfect time to say, no, we can start before Labor Day.
Well, especially with the Monday, Tuesday off, because then people still get their Labor Day weekend and there's an extra day. And I know in the past, it's been the argument, with student workers in our community businesses because college students have already gone home and things of that nature. Again, totally understandable, but that also shouldn't dictate our educational programming.
Right. And they would still have that Monday and Tuesday off. It would just be that like third, fourth, those couple days that they would have school. But it wasn't any different than this year's. So anyway, Paula, you had something to say too.
I was just gonna say, we are the only district currently starting after Labor Day. All other schools in the state start before. They start in the last week in August. And, I'll tell you, with 3 kids in my house that go to school, they're ready to go to school in the last week of August. Summer is over to them, but I get it. There's some families that are still doing things, but we have to be realistic, right? In our start time. So, but we are really the only district that starts school after Labor Day.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is maybe, if people are looking at this in terms of if you want like a long weekend for the Labor Day, maybe you start it on the first, second, third and give that Friday, where then, so there's some, because of, oh, they got plenty. Anyway, we're not gonna make the difference
It will be,
here.
yeah,
It's a work in progress.
I will be sure to survey the community. I'll improve the survey. I will put it back out to the community and I will come back with other schedule or calendar options for consideration and deliberation.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Good starting discussion though. All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. Discussion action 2026 annual school committee calendar. So Terry has put together the calendar that needs to be submitted. And it really, nothing falls on the holidays. We did have a problem this year with Veterans Day. We don't have a problem next year. And it's really just the second and the fourth every month. So I don't know if you have any questions, but it's pretty straightforward.
As an FYI, I checked the calendar. We're good.
Thank you. Yay. Thank
As
you.
long
I
as
do
we're not doing
appreciate that.
anything Friday, Saturdays and Sundays. I will say though, for the annual summer workshop, I will be out of country, mid-August through the end of August.
Okay, yeah, that'll be good. We do want to try to plan a date in July or August where we can all, it's great if we can all be there. So that's good to know. And I'm sure Terry will take note of that. So but any other questions? And thank you for checking the calendar. I do really appreciate that. That's super helpful. So we do need to approve this, so I do need a motion.
I'll make a motion to to approve 2026 annual school committee calendar.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Moving on to the discussion action policy number 2110 fundraising second read. James?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is our second read of the revision to policy 2110 for fundraising. We did pass it through legal, and there were some edits and just minor language changes, it looked like, for the most part. There wasn't any substantial feedback on, solicitation restrictions or some of the things we brought up in our last meeting.
There was only one, everything that was, that legal suggested is in red. The one piece that they didn't put in red, and it was just a comment, was under unconditional donations. I would be remiss if the unconditional donations valued at less than $5,000, that dollar amount, Attorney Hennius said he felt a little bit high, but he did not put in a number that would have passed muster. Otherwise, everything is redlined from legal.
So this is, unless we want to go back and make changes to that value that principals can accept as donations. There could be some other caveats and changes as well. So we're open to suggestions, comments, etc.
I'm just wondering if we got an answer on the naming rights issue from the attorney, or are they researching that, or was that?
He didn't flag or put any there were no comments nor suggested changes.
Well, I think your policy committee made great strides in shoring up this policy, making it easier to follow. I mean, we don't want to have the same thing happen again when, trying to follow the policy is burdensome, and it seems like we are against fundraising or somehow. So I think this goes a long way in shoring that up, and I'm thankful that your committee has had a chance to rework this so that it is less burdensome to everybody.
Once we read that old policy and realized how restrictive it was regarding those, but especially 501(c)(3) organizations that should be allowed to do fundraising as they see fit without necessarily getting our approval. I think this makes that burden, takes away that burden really, and makes it streamlined. And there was just no reason for having it have to come before us.
Are you looking for a motion to approve this tonight?
Yes, this is a second read. So unless unless people feel uncomfortable and want to revise certain parts of it and bring it back for a third read. Yeah, because it is a second read, we can vote to accept this as our new fundraising policy this evening.
I'll make a motion to approve the fundraising policy.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Did you have some?
No.
Yeah, I was sorry. I was just reading the part that James had brought up about the naming rights. Like if we could or couldn't inside, not the building, other than maybe the Cape Mass and the high school, but outside of that.
Can you pronounce it?
I'm just wondering, is there the ability to do something inside the building for things? Given what it states here that the district does not accept donations that include naming rights for facilities, programs, or any other school asset.
I think the key words in that, to me, Stuart, are it's to our discretion. It's at our discretion, right? So right to refuse, the South Kingstown School Department reserves the right in their sole discretion to refuse any donations, whether conditional or unconditional. So we have the option to, but we don't have to. It's not saying
You can't.
it's not saying one way or another. It's up to us.
I think he's reading the recognition of donors portion, which
That's the portion,
Which
the recognition of.
I think
donors
if you read it, the way I read it or would interpret it is that it can't be a donation that is predicated on the fact of the naming right. Now, if this, as a school district, we decided, okay, well, we're going to name it after this person who just donated, however much money, that would be on us. But that's, we're not accepting donations where they say you have to name that facility after me. You have to name that library, the James Restivo Library. You have to name that.
Yeah, I agree
door,
with that.
doorway,
but
the student lander doorway.
You don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I'm just making sure that we're in agreement that still holds based on the interpretation of that that line.
Legal actually put in words to make it more clear. They're in their sole discretion when adding that language. I think it's very clear that we can refuse or we can accept.
Okay.
It's within our discretion. And I like that legal put that in there because
Okay.
it does, we needed something definitive like
Yes.
that. Yep.
Got it.
And if it, anyway, obviously this is already passed and this is our new policy, but if you want to bring that up in a future policy meeting to maybe talk about that section, we can potentially do that. I mean, so I don't think there's any rule that says we have to have this on the books for a certain period of time before revising it. But as of tonight, it is our new policy.
Yeah, I think also we could, for future consideration, if in terms of, we could do a name it, a policy regarding the naming of buildings, grounds, facilities, standards, qualification, service, criteria, if you will, that would be considered. Because we do, actually, in terms of the building committee, do have gotten in the past people who say, oh, this should be, or something should be, or someone should be recognized, name it, the Michael Pedraza stop sign. Where, as he said, no, stop. So
The Kate Manzanotti Theater. So we'll work on that policy.
Yeah. So we could
The
go that
Thunder
route
Dome.
as well.
But I think that policy that you're referring to right now is having clearly not of urgent nature right now, considering what we're looking at. I don't know what the order of urgency. I mean, there was a while where we had some major policies that needed to be addressed ASAP. It doesn't feel like we have that anymore. So maybe at some point between now and 2027, though, we would want to get a policy on the books, considering what the future of the district and buildings look like.
I do think one of the things with this fundraising policy is when there was a need became very apparent, the need to revise it, that the policy committee quickly took it up and did a great revision. And so it's nice when it works the way it kind of should work. So, I mean, but yes, when there is a need for a policy, I think to bring it up as soon as we can makes a lot of sense. So, right, so we have our second reading and that has been approved. So we will move on to H, and I'm going to turn this over to Kate for the school building committee update.
So this update's going to take approximately 21 minutes. Kidding. Actually, it's
Full faith and confidence in you.
it actually is short and sweet. There's not much to update since the last time I did an update. We had a very short school building committee meeting on Thursday. Again, it was pretty much just a review of everything that we've been doing. What I'd love to do, if anybody has specific questions, work is going as planned. There have been no obstacles. We did a lot of knocking on wood during our meeting because we were discussing how so far the weather has not interrupted, and also discussions about what will happen come January, February. Is the climate factored into their projections? And yes, within reason, really, like we clearly don't have, massive blizzard predictions coming at us, but we do understand that it snows in Rhode Island in, March, February. So they do factor that in. But outside of that, there's other than like the day to day is going off and everything is going as planned. Some really cool foundations have been poured. We have the auditorium floor that's out there now, which is super exciting. And I keep pointing over there because they've been moving, and I'm directionally challenged. So they've been moving from this side that way. And so they're going to be starting to take care of the CTE kind of foundation and perimeter now, and then the parking lot. So, but if anybody has any specific questions that are pressing, I'm happy to answer them if I can.
Just wondering how close we are to a guaranteed maximum price for the project.
To getting the numbers, we should have those mid December, right around December 18th, right around our meeting. And then it will be brought forward to town council, the first council meeting in January. So that's kind of the time frame we're shooting at, where we will know definitive numbers. The other piece that we are really starting to ramp up are the Curtis Corner plans. So we have the demolition plan, and then starting, I believe at our next school building committee meeting, we're going to start with the schedule of what the planning will look like. And then starting in January, we'll actually start to see the plans worked on. So that's equally as exciting. Still, as of right this second, still in tandem, opening of the high school and opening up of the new fields will happen simultaneously. So, but unless anybody has any questions.
I just have a question, but if you don't know off the top of your head, it's okay. Do you know when the next time that we as a body need to approve something?
I asked the same question as far as, so when the GMP comes through, like, because we have it on schedule for school building and for town council. And I was like, I want to make sure if school committee needs the input, at this point, that's not happening, but Michael has made sure that our meetings are now on, when we do agenda settings with the project teams, that our meeting dates are there kind of as a reminder, like if school committee does need to give feedback, that we're factoring them in. But as of right now, between December and January, we don't need to vote on anything. Doesn't mean we can't have them come in and give a review, but we just don't, it's all budgetary, which falls on the town. Yep.
Thank you.
Very exciting. Thank you, Kate.
And then I'm happy to round it out with a motion to adjourn at 7:33 p.m.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Under.